Welcome back to Weekly Improvements. In this week's episode, I will show you how I build my own tools for my bike. So, to bring you up to speed, we have to go back an episode. After I got a new steerer tube installed, I had no way of hammering in the star nut. So I did what anyone would do in that situation. There are special tools for this so that you don't have to do it that way. Of course, you can just buy a tool like that, but where's the fun in that? So I opened up Fusion and designed a tool myself. This is how it works. The steerer tube is in the lower part of the simulation and the tool is above. Now screw the star nut onto the upper part of the tool. Now you can put the assembly onto your steer tube. The star nut cannot fall into the steer tube at this point, as the star nut is manufactured in such a way that it bends when it is driven in, and therefore sits securely and firmly in the steer tube. Now comes the guide part, which looks like a bushing. This bushing ensures that the star nut is driven in vertically. It is important that you press the bushing down with your other hand when hammering it in, otherwise you could jam it. The tool will stop at the appropriate offset. This can be clearly heard. Then, the bushing is pulled off the rest. And the second part is unscrewed from the star nut. That's the theory anyway, but to put the plans into practice, I will manufacture the two parts on a lathe. First, I make the mandrel. This is made of steel because that is where most of the forces will occur later. Then I make the bushing part out of aluminum. This is what the finished product looks like. What do you think? To try out the tool now, I have the suspension fork for my dirt jumper here. Look at how crooked the star nut is. Let's change that. First, I have to knock out the old star nut. You can only knock it out downwards. After a few hits, the part falls out. Now I screw the new star nut onto the mandrel. It is important that you screw the star nut all the way on. As in the simulation, first I put the mandrel with the star nut onto the fork shaft, then comes the bushing. With a few targeted hammer blows, the star nut then sits neatly in the fork shaft. You can hear immediately when you have reached the stop. Now everything is screwed back together. That looks good. Now comes my orange. Here you can see very clearly that the screw is not sitting properly. This leads to problems when adjusting the bearing plate, and also scratches your top cap. Here, the same thing again. Knock out the old star nut. Screw the new star nut onto the mandrel. Place the tool on the fork shaft. Guide over it and then hammer in the star nut. That's it for episode 10 of Weekly Improvements. Stay tuned for the next episode.